Ahegao is something that kids desensitized by porn need to recognize sexual arousal in women. What we're witnessing here is an evolution of a meme format, away from simple images comparing two characters, two archetypal characters, to actually acting out the personas. This is most likely unique to TikTok, but it's really interesting to see just how a meme format, especially one as meaningful as most masculine man in blank versus most feminine man in blank, evolve. This meme is a literal depiction of enlightened centrism, where all of the left-right authoritarian libertarian distinctions are done away with in favor of the divine and the demonic. The figure that is depicted here is one of the demons from the Gersha, one of the most famous occult texts, and it's clear that he has domain over all of the quadrants of the political test. When we're talking about enlightened centrism, it's not as if it's just a denial of the political compass, but rather a true moving above, truly adding a z-axis, where the questions of metaphysics become far more important than those of material reality. Today, all the pleasures that we have are dollar store pleasures, dollar store temptations. You will never experience half, a quarter of what a Roman emperor or even a Roman peasant could have enjoyed in the past. The call of Christianity has been so muted because our lives are filled with mundane pleasures. The pleasure is constant, dull, numbing. There are no more great pleasures. We live in a spiritual dollar store, and you only know dollar store enlightenment and dollar store punishment. So when you move on to the next life, be prepared to get nickel and dimed all the way. This meme is an excellent example of what I call the big meme, which is to say that all great religious shifts and cataclysms throughout history were brought on by shitposting, which is to say that people like Muhammad or Christ shitposted so effectively that they disrupted massive traditional religious structures. And ultimately, following this, the shitposters of today are working, chipping away, and building toward a new God. What do you think? Circle got smaller. Vision got larger. This is a perfect look at friendship under neoliberalism, in which every interaction, every tiny character flaw, every misstep is now want to get you excommunicated from a friend group. It is solely a set of soulless capital interactions, social capital, that is. So, indeed, the vision gets larger, but what is it of? A soulless future? A perfect life? A new Tower of Babel. Man seeks not only to be closer to God, but to replace God, to be a God. This is the desire, and yet the reason that these videos go viral is precisely for the same reason, in that all of these attempts end in falling back down to the earth. You cannot be a God. And really, it's very difficult to get close to God, at least when you try like this. So consider, how many viral practices are really symbolic rituals? The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge could have been a new baptism. Give it a thought. The joyful, numbing submission that is becoming submissive and breedable. This is what this meme signifies. An absolute capitulation to consumerism. For it is not truly a lack of thoughts. It's not truly an empty head. It is a head full of shopping schemes and products and little video games and all these cute, what is it, Sanrio? These were made to capture your mind, to make money, to get the dollars out of your wallet. When you're not thinking, you're thinking about other people's products to get money from you. Therefore, stop thinking about it. Just start thinking about memes all the time and God. We are a generation of picky eaters, which is to say that we prefer mass-produced garbage. You're not going to find a kid who's too picky to eat Oreos or M&Ms, but it applies culturally and spiritually as well. Every kid is going to play video games and own an iPad, but very few are going to be capable of reading books. It is a spiritual pickiness, which is to say a lack of depth, a lack of knowledge. It's a tiny, arrogant worldview, very typical of Americans, but perhaps most typical of this generation of Americans. One that feels morally suited to declare the entirety of the world and the past immoral in, their own virtuous sentiment. Nonsense. I think this meme offers a really interesting look at how we react to consumer traps. In America, we can generally recognize a trap. Minions are widely despised, and rightfully so. They're horrific, disgusting little things. But the Japanese versions offer enough distance, enough otherness where we can indulge. I feel this way about old advertisements. They're cute enough that I can enjoy them now. So, the fact that we're not bombarded constantly with Japanese ads, I think adds to it. But also, I'm reminded of cyberpunk and the fact that we can enjoy images of horrific human suffering as long as it's far in the future, and in Japan.
Everything bad in the culture is Andy's fault.
Fran is completely right here, and let's look a little bit at why Warhol was so bad. So we're looking at an art world that has been overtaken by intellectualism, by elitism, which is still kind of the art world that we've inherited today, but Warhol was interested more in the mundane, in the boring, in stuff that you and I, and everybody using this app knows, soup cans, advertisements, and he intentionally accelerated art toward the mundane, toward advertising, accelerating art as a whole toward the lowest common denominator. And this is today the trend of all consumerism, the lowest form of art in mass. There are no atheists in the foxhole, but there are also no scientists in the haunted house. When we are in traumatic, extreme situations, we revert to human nature. There's a great line from the philosopher Bataille, which is that tragedy is the impotence of reason. And that idea is really significant. Impotent reason. Science is nothing. It's literally meaningless in the grand scheme of things. We need to believe in gods, in spirits, to make sense of tragedy, of horror, which is the real stuff our lives are made of. I heard a good argument that we really believe in science because of medicine. It's our only way of coping with a fundamental horror of reality. Boo. We Americans, like Sisyphus, must find beauty and joy, even the sacred, in our experience of day-to-day, mundane living. This is the great task of modern times, to not write off our day-to-day lives as the meaningless thing and pop culture and entertainment as the real thing. We must find beauty, enjoyment, meaning, even God, in our day-to-day lives. One of the things that I find helps with this is a great app called Randonautica that my friends made, and it basically lets you just take a map of your location and find a meaningful area to explore. So always take a second to enjoy, even if it's tough. Find beauty. This meme displays perfectly what Carl Jung termed synchronicity, which is a human's ability to connect to the universe at large through symbolic understandings and coincidences. The fact that this leaf perfectly mirrors the palm of your hand is the essence of every single divinatory tradition. The tarot, the I Ching, these both rely on the connection that nature has to human experiences. And it is only through observing nature that we are able to make a perfect conception of human life. If you show this image to a white person, it initiates an MKUltra trigger. This meme is very funny, in part because of the truth of it. If you know much about the 1960s, you know how heavily invested the government and intelligence agencies were in the proliferation of new styles of pop music and drugs with it. But today, the thing about Neutral Milk Hotel and In the Airplane Over the Sea is that it was spread solely online. It's something a lot of people know about, but they generally know about it because of 4chan's Mew board. So today, our modern equivalent of MKUltra, our kind of mass mind control, came online. And today, I bet it comes through TikTok. Think about TikTok as a kind of cultural engine for spreading mass ideas and mass personalities and tastes.